Hey y'all, how are you? So, really quick, guys, I'm just upstairs working in my little office area, and I stopped working for a bit because I wanted to get on here and talk to y'all really quickly. Happy Wednesday, happy August 28th. Happy Romans 8:28. Okay, all things work for the good of those that love the Lord and are called to purpose. Okay, all things. Some people don't read the rest of it. They're just like, all things work for those that love the Lord. Yeah, and what? And who are called to purpose and who walk according to purpose. You got to finish that verse, okay? Not just all things work for those that love the Lord and let's finish that. But we know that all things work for us that love God, that are walking according to purpose, that are in his will. God will turn anything around that we see as bad or not ideal. He'll turn it all around for our good. Situations, circumstances, seasons, whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to get on here really quick, y'all. I just took a break from working, and I'm sorry if my laptop is like shaking a lot. But I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys really quick. This is going to be a real quick word. This is actually a message that the Lord spoke to my heart. Maybe it was 6 months ago, 5 months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. It was a while ago, and I just kind of let it sit. I just kind of let it sit. But somebody probably needs to hear this today, even if it's just one or two people. But good morning. How you're all doing? I hope y'all are doing great. I'm gonna give y'all this word, and then I think I'm gonna take a break and go hit the trails, which is what I've started to do like sometimes in the middle of the day. I'll go to the trails. Normally I try to go early in the morning or after work when the sun's going down, but sometimes I go in the middle of the day. And this is one of the days where I have a light workload because I begin things done over here. I have a light workload, so I'll probably just go hit the trails, do a few miles, and come back here, shower, and finish up my work. But not before I give you guys this word, okay? Overlooked, canceled, and delayed. Overlooked, canceled, and delayed. I know many people have felt overlooked, canceled, and delayed in so many areas of your life. So this is a prophetic word of encouragement of just how God, how he Romans 8:28 these things, okay? How he will Romans 8:28 these situations and circumstances. So I was watching someone that I watch that's a vlogger. I don't watch prophetic voices like that. I really don't. I don't do all of that, but I love watching vlogs. And many of you guys know this about me. I normally watch vlogs of like moms that have like 10 children or 7 children. They're a stay-at-home mom. They're homeschooling their kids. They do all the things. Like I like stuff like that. Or like the day in the life of certain things. Like I don't watch a lot of vloggers, but majority of the vloggers that I watch are women of God. I think all of them actually are women of God. But anyway, I just like to see how God works in their lives. And I like the everyday boring stuff or the things that people consider boring. I like it. I like the stay-at-home mom life and seeing all the things, right? So there's this one young lady that I watch, and she's not a stay-at-home mom. She's actually a little bit younger than, is she a little bit younger than me? I think she's in her 30s. She's in her 30s. And she used to live here in Texas, and she's moved back home to where she's from, which is Louisiana. And she was giving this testimony, like I said, a few months ago. And as she was giving the testimony, the Lord just dropped these nuggets in my spirit. She wasn't even speaking in this context. She was literally just telling her story of how God confirmed to her to move back home. But in the midst of her giving a testimony, I was taking in the nuggets from the Lord and just watching how he moves. And somebody needs to hear this today. So she gave a testimony, and she was living here in, I believe she was in Austin, Texas. And she had been asking the Lord if she should move back home to Louisiana. She didn't want to, because when she left Louisiana, she didn't see herself going back there. She wanted something new. She wanted to start over and so forth. She didn't see herself going back home. But it had been dropped in her spirit, dropped in her heart. God had placed that desire there for a reason. So she began to ask God, should she move back home? Her lease was about to be up. She's like, do I renew here? Do I move back home? And she's waiting for him to answer her because she wanted to be in alignment with his will for her life and where he was calling her to be, right? So she's asking God, waiting for him to answer. And she said one day she gets off of work and she's like, let me just go grab me something to eat. I think she went to Popeyes or Raising Cane's or something, whatever, fast food place. She's like, let me grab myself something to eat. And she's like, then I'll head home. She's like, my drive home was like 30 minutes. She's like, and I was hungry. I hadn't eaten all day. So she's like, I'm like, let me grab something small from the fast food place. And she's like, I'm going to head home because when I get home, I'm going to cook and stuff, but this will just be a snack to tide me over. Right? So she goes to this fast food place. She's ordering her food as she's talking to God, asking him, you know, where he wants her to go or whatever, not thinking anything of it. She orders her food. They tell her to park in one of the parking number spots. You know how like if they have to make your food, they'll be like, park in number 1 and we'll bring the food out to you. So they tell her to park in one of the spaces. They'll bring the food out to her. She says, okay. Right? They told her to park in parking 1 or 2 or whatever. And she's like, okay, cool. So she parks there and she's like, I'm waiting. She's like, 5 minutes go by. Nobody brings me my food. She's like, okay, let me be patient. You know, patience is a virtue. Let me be patient. She's like, 10 minutes go by. Nobody brings her food. She's like, she's seeing other people come in these parking spots, park for 5-10 minutes, and they get their food. And these are people that came after her. So she's still thinking, okay, let me give them 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes go by. Her food's not there. Finally, at like the 20-minute mark, she's upset and aggravated. She goes into the restaurant and she's like, I've been sitting there for 20 minutes. Nobody has brought me my food. You guys told me to park in the spot. I've been sitting there. People have came after me and they've came and went. She's like, where's my food? So she's like, the girl behind the register is like shocked and kind of gets agitated with her. And she's like, I looked outside and I didn't see your car because, you know, they take a description of your car so that they know what number you're parked at. She's like, I didn't see your car. She's like, you weren't out there. So the girl is like, I was there the whole time. She's like, I've been sitting right there. So the girl behind the register is like, I looked through all the parking spots. She's like, I did not see your car. So we canceled your order. Right? So she's angry because she's like, I was there the whole time. And they're like, we'll remake your food and bring it back out. At this point, she's like, I've already been waiting. You guys have canceled my order, right? I was obviously overlooked because you're saying you didn't see me, even though I was right there out the window. She's like, my car is right there. I can see it from here. She's like, you're saying I wasn't there when I was. She's like, so basically, she was overlooked. Her order was canceled. And there was a huge delay and she's still hungry. She has nothing, right? So she was overlooked, canceled, and delayed all at one time, right? So she's aggravated. She doesn't want them to make the food. She's like, give me my money back. I'm just going to go home. So they give her money back. She gets in the car and she's driving, right? And she's like, she's so aggravated that she's not speeding or anything. She's going super slow, just driving. She's like, cars are passing her. She's like, I don't even care because I'm aggravated. She's like, I'm in my feelings. She's like, so I'm just driving. She said, and within a couple minutes, this truck jumps in front of her. And she's like, she's about to get aggravated over the truck jumping in front of her the way that he did. But then she sees on the back of the truck a sign. And she said, the sign says, faith over fear. Faith over fear. And she said she knew in that moment God was speaking to her and telling her, have faith, do not fear. She said she knew in that moment God was saying, go back home, go back to Louisiana. You're not renewing here, go back to Louisiana. And she knew God was speaking to her because she did fear going back home. To her, going back home was like almost like a downgrade or going backwards, right? So she feared going back home. God was speaking to her in that moment, have faith over fear. I got you. This is your sign, go back home. Had she not been overlooked, canceled, and delayed at this fast food restaurant, she never would have saw this sign on the back of the truck at that very time and moment. And she never would have received what God was trying to give to her, right? So God allowed her to be overlooked. canceled and delayed so that he can get a message to her. He didn't want, I hope y'all are catching this. It wasn't about her getting fast food, something quick, something that's not filling. He was trying to give her soul food, food for her soul, her mind, her will, her emotions, her heart. He was trying to fill her soul up. She was trying to get fast food. God was like, nah, on this very day, I'm going to give you soul food. I'm going to fill you up on a different level. I'm going to answer the prayer that you've been asking me, but it's not going to be in the way that you expect, because in the way that I'm going to answer you, you're going to be overlooked, canceled, and delayed all at the same time, and aggravated. But it's going to have you in the very position, in the very spot, at the very time that I need you to be there, because I'm going to speak to you. And in the moment that I speak to you, I'm going to give you plans in just this very short message. I'm going to give you plans for next steps. That's going to push you into this promised land. That's going to push you into this blessing. You see it as backwards, but it's a blessing in this place. But I need you to be in this specific place on the highway behind this truck at this exact time. But in order for me to get you there and get you this message in this very strategic way, I'm going to allow you to be overlooked, canceled, and delayed. You're going to be aggravated, but your soul is going to be filled at the end of the day, not just with fast food that you eat for a second and then you're hungry 30 minutes later, but I'm going to fill you up in this very moment, in this very instance, in this very instant that's going to push you into the next. So somebody needed to hear this today, and she didn't explain it like this. She literally just gave her testimony of how God spoke to her, but in her giving her testimony, this is how God spoke to me about it. Okay, so you may think you've been overlooked, canceled, and delayed, and you may have been all of those things. But what you don't realize is God needs you in a specific place at a specific time to get a specific word that's not going to be some quick, fast, easy fix that's going to fill you up for a short period of time, but it's going to push you into something new. It's going to push you into a new season. It's going to push you into this place that, again, you may think it's a backwards step, a backwards move, but it's not. It's a blessing and it's a push forward. And if you guys remember, God had me release a word telling you guys that sometimes in order for you to move forward, it requires you going back. Back isn't always bad. Back doesn't mean you're going backwards. A lot of the times to move forward is to go back, because there's something that God wants you to get in that place. And for some of you guys, wherever you are, the time is up, but you're so focused on getting fast food and something quick and easy and so forth. God is trying to feed your soul. And all it takes is one little word from God that will fill you up to the brim and have you into a new season, into a new era, into a new moment in just a short period of time. So yes, it was aggravating in that moment. And she's like, I was parked right there. How could you not see me? Do you know that sometimes God will allow people to have blinders on to where they will overlook you and you could be right in their face? And you're like, oh, they were rude. They didn't even say hi. They didn't even speak to me. They didn't even see me. And God blinded that person for just that second, because in that moment, you needed to be overlooked. There was something that he needed to do with that situation. You think that they were being rude and they were just not paying attention, but God will allow people to not see you so that he can get a message across, so that he can do something miraculous in that moment. And somebody even needed to hear that. It's not that the person's rude or they intentionally overlooked you. God, the same God who will harden a person's heart towards you in order to get the glory out of it, will blind a person so that they overlook you. They don't see you. You may be the most beautiful thing in that room and they will overlook you. And it's all a part of God's plan. So you may have been overlooked, canceled, and delayed, but God is trying to give you soul food, food to feed your soul, to feed your heart, to push you into the new. He's not trying to just give you some microwavable, fast food, quick fix type of thing that's going to leave you hungry in the next 30 minutes. She was obedient. She didn't renew her lease. She moved back to Louisiana, where she's originally from. She now has a job at a place that she used to work previously. She loves the people at this place. They show her favor here. It was such an easy transition. She moved into an actual house, right? A really big house, and it's just her. Everything's updated in this place. Like God gave her better than what she had when she was in Texas. She got better. Her backwards led her to better. Y'all better catch this. Her backwards led her to better. She has the support that she needs. She's gotten to know God on a whole different level. God speaks to her loud and clear. So she's discovered her calling, her purpose, and the spiritual giftings that God has given her by going backwards. There was blessings in her backwards. It wasn't backwards like she thought. It wasn't her taking a step back or losing. She was actually gaining by going back. Many of you, this is going to hit on so many different levels. You're actually gaining by going back. For some of you, it's a restoration of a relationship, a restoration of a marriage, a restoration of family. For some of you, God has told you to go back to a previous job, a previous position. For some of you guys, he's told you to go back to your previously written journal entries where he told you to write down ideas and business things and so forth. And you kind of just laid it to the wayside and moved on with your life. But God is telling you to go back because there's blessings in the back. There's blessings in going backwards. Backwards is going to propel you forward. So again, many of you guys were overlooked, canceled, and delayed in order to be blessed, for God to speak a word to you that was going to fill you up on so many different levels. So remember this as you're experiencing being overlooked, canceled, and delayed in so many other things. Remember this word that God will allow these things to transpire in order to get you in the place, the position to hear what he's speaking to you. So that's the word for today, guys. It's not what I planned on getting on here and sharing, but it's just what was laid on my heart. So I just wanted to share this with you guys that there's blessings in going back for whoever this is for. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. And remember that all things work for the good of those that love the Lord and are called to purpose. All things. It doesn't matter which way it's going. Eventually, God will turn it to go exactly how it's supposed to go at the very time it's supposed to go in that direction. Couldn't even get my words out like what, but it's okay. If you're not new here, you already know sometimes these words be like, it's okay. Whoever this word is for, you caught it and you get it. I love you. Have a blessed Wednesday. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.